Thanks for joining us at the Business Growth Cafe, where each week we select from a menu of topics for a focused discussion with an industry expert to provide insights that can impact your business's growth. With your host, Angelo Ponzi.
I am Angelo Ponzi, your host here at the Business Growth Cafe, and thank you for joining me. Managing your business and personal finances is essential. Duh, come on, be serious. Of course you know that. But in today's environment with COVID-19, it is more important than ever to really be strategic with those numbers, not just talking about them, not just looking at your financial reports each month, but really digging in and understanding the story that they tell and how you can be strategic with them. Today at the cafe, I'm excited to have Marcia Riner, CEO of Bella Financial and fellow podcaster and host of Profit with a Plan, to discuss gaining clarity, control, and confidence with your money and making the right decisions to become competitive today and in the future. Marcia, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and this is such a timely topic, so glad to put in.
Yeah, thank you so much. Now, before we get started, why don't you take a few minutes to tell the audience about yourself and your business?
Yes, thank you. So I am a fractional CFO for small business owners and a financial business strategist, and I've helped tons of small business owners get clarity on their game plan so they know exactly what they need to do to make the money that they're hoping to make. And it's all formulated on a business plan. And so I've got quite a few years experience in a 20-something as a business owner. Several businesses, came from a family of business owners, and I found out what not to do through experience and watching those around me, that I started to learn things that were successful. And it all formulated out of the money. And every decision you make in your business involves money. Mm-hmm. So I started to really tune that in, and that's where I became today.
What's that old saying, money makes the world go round?
Oh, it sure does. It makes everything going around, and your business revolves 100% on money.
Yeah, it's funny. People used to say, money won't make you happy. And I used to respond, yeah, but it'll make me smile a lot.
I'd rather be unhappy and rich than unhappy and poor, or happy and poor.
Yeah, there you go.
So, yeah, so totally on the money side. all in.
So I do ask a few similar questions to all my guests. Mm-hmm. And so the first one is, when you think about growing your business, right? What keeps you up at night?
We just talked about it. The money. Where's the money coming from, and how am I spending it in the best way? And, the biggest challenges every business faces is, where is that money coming from, and what do I need to do to make that money come in more often and more consistently? And then when it's going out, I have a phrase I've coined, spending strategically, where every dollar that goes out has to return an ROI, or a return on your investment. So yeah, where the money is what keeps most people up at night.
Do you find, when you're talking about that, and return on investment for every dollar, I love that. Mm-hmm. As a marketing guy, I'm always held accountable. Yeah, right. You're spending a lot of money in marketing, but we're not getting anything for it. So it's always coming up with a way to justify that investment. So is that and part of your strategy in working with your clients? I mean, is that part of your model, and actually showing them how they can, invest, if you will, or in their future with that return on investment?
Well, yes, there's two things that make you money in your business, and everything else is a cost: innovation and marketing. Now, I'm no marketing specialist, it's not my training, but I'm always pulled towards it, because that's what makes a business work, is you've got to have the marketing, and it's constantly having to run. So with my clients, we talk about the big picture, the strategy, how you're going to, what you want to achieve, and who that ideal client is, and the message that you're talking about. But it is big picture as a financial strategist. well, then I bring in the expert to help execute it on. Because marketing is one of those two things, and again, I'm saying two, that you should never do yourself. You should never do your own accounting, and damn it, you should never do your own marketing. Give that to the experts in that area, because in both cases, you may know enough to do what you need to do, but chances are you're spending 5 or 6 times more hours and money trying to do it yourself.
Okay. I would agree with that. I would agree
Yep.
with that. I might take that clip of you saying how important marketing is and use that in my
Absolutely.
promotion. That's fantastic.
20%, that's all I charge.
Okay, no worries, no worries. Contracts in the mail. What is the best business advice you've ever given and or received if it's different?
Wow. Well, the best advice I've received, business advice over the years, is kind of what we just talked about. It's hiring. You're not an island. There's no reason why you should be in business all by yourself, holed up in your office with only your own self to look at. You need partners. You need partners that can help you do things. First of all, you need to figure out what your highest value is in business. If it's sales or technology or running the business, it's your job as the business owner to find out that expertise, that sweet spot that you find in. Then that's what you should do. Everything else should be delegated, and should be delegated to people that have bright ideas and can handle the tasks self-directed. And so I think that's the biggest thing as a small business owner, which I am and I've come from. I've been in situations where I've had a few employees, but never 20, 30, 50, 100, 200 employees. It's always been in that small, they call it micro business world. But most business owners in that world tend to feel like they've got to shoulder the entire weight of the world on their shoulders, doing their own accounting, doing their own marketing, trying to make decisions on their own, trying to be the chief dishwasher and economic forecaster at the same time.
Yeah.
And it really can't be done. So my advice that I've been given, and it took me a while, it took me a real while to be able to realize this and take advantage of it, but you need help. You can't do it yourself, and you shouldn't do it yourself, because two brains, masterminds, are always the way to go.
Yeah, wise words, wise words. I mean, it's so many times, and I've run into this myself, where the CEO is also, again, had been doing the as a matter of fact, I got a lead today, and the CEO has been the person doing all the marketing, and it's like, well, that's not what you should be doing. You have a lot of other things to be doing, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So my last question before we kind of take the next step is, as a business owner, if your journey was a book, what would the title be?
Wrong turns. Too many wrong turns. The slow path sometimes. My goodness, I could come up with a whole lot of things. Like I said, as a business owner, we all struggle. And then add the woman factor into it, and I'm constantly beating myself up for not getting there faster, quicker, stronger, more money, more growth. So I think those are the challenges that I face. So yeah, maybe the slow road, the broken road. But I have to say, through all of that, I've learned some tricks. And they say beauty is wasted on the young because it should be given to the old who are mature enough to handle it. I think I've got my maturity in business enough to say I know what not to do. And I've learned from these tricks, and I'm smart enough and wise enough to start to implement them. Now it's come later in life because I tried to, put a square peg into a round hole for many, many years. But I think I've come out of it, and I've seen the light. I've seen the light at the end of the tunnel, and when it all finally comes in place, you feel it in your core, and things start to happen because you're living in the right place and doing the right things.
Yeah, I mean, there's no substitute for the business of hard knocks. I mean, you've been knocked around a bit. I love your analogy, and actually, I use a road analogy all the time of the road to growth, and it is twists and turns and bumps and potholes. And my very first entrepreneurial venture, I was 23, and it's a long story, but in and out in 8 months. But that 8 months, it was probably the best education I've ever had, because I learned about partners. I learned about the value of money. I learned about bad strategies. I relied on too many people. My partners were 20 years older than me. So I relied on their, expertise as senior, quote unquote, level people, that they knew what they were doing, and they didn't know what they were doing at all. And
they were fronting.
I was the money guy and a lot of the labor guy, but I learned, and it was a great experience. I don't wish it on anybody, but if you've been there, you know what it's like to have those ups and downs.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we all need to know in business is that there's no real shortcut. There's no super fast track. Just like you didn't gain weight overnight, you're not going to lose it overnight. There's no magic pill.
What?
It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes work. And you got to put in the time, you got to put in the work, you got to see the bring on the advisors, you got to do everything that needs to be done to make it be a success.
Sure. So as an entrepreneur, and my show is about, business growth and entrepreneurship. And so before we start talking a little bit more about financial strategy, I want a few more questions on your business growth. So if I remember correctly from reading, you started this Bella Financial around 2017, right?
Summer 2017.
Yep. So there's an impetus, right? There's something that happened. There's a moment in time you woke up one day and said, I'm going to start a business. So what was that spark? Yeah, we've all done that. Trust me. It's like, I left that job. What?
Why did I do that?
Yeah. What was the factor that motivated you to kind of jump into this venture?
Well, I had tried many times to become a successful business owner, and I would get to a certain point in my business where I thought I was doing well, I was comfortable, something would happen. I chased my ex-husband all over the country. Every time I'd get my business up and running, he'd move us, so I'd have to start from scratch again. It was a time in my life where divorce set in. I had an aging mother that had an injury that I needed to care for. And then I was in a corporate position where they were cleaning house. And I wasn't marked for cleaning house, but I was the oldest person on this young team. And in comes a new stud, who was going to lead us and clean house and get us all moving into his way. And energetically, he and I just didn't get along, and it was foreseen that there was going to be larger roadblocks in my way. Every time I turned, I felt like I was putting my foot in my mouth, and I was making mistakes and things that I've never done before, but I felt like the energy was just, he was pushing me out, and so I was stumbling, trying to hold myself up. And I said, I'm done with that.
Sure.
And so I got recruited by a gentleman that was brilliant. He was super genius IQ, had these fabulous strategies, and I said, I want to work with you. But he was a hot mess. He couldn't, it was just, there was total chaos in the environment I wasn't comfortable in. So then I tried another small firm that promised, again, a lot of planning and a lot of strategies and business owners. And I got in there, and they wanted me to sell products first and plan later. And so as a certified financial planner, I wanted to plan. I had had this experience with business owners. I understood money. And also the final piece on this puzzle that knocked it over is the investment world, which I had been working in for the last 10, 12 years. The environment was racing to zero. Mm-hmm. There was no income that you could make for your skill set. Fidelity was dropping from down to 495 for their charges. Now they're zero. Schwab was doing the same. Robo advisors were coming in to say the computer generated model can invest your money with more success than an individual can. And I just didn't like the marketplace for the investment advisors and the wealth advisors. And I just decided to leap. And when I did, it was cold water. It was scary, but I did it. And it was like, once you got in and you kind of got used to the water, this elephant got off of my shoulders. And it was replaced by a monkey on my back, by the way. But the elephant got off my shoulders. And I felt like this is where I belong. And this is what I was trying to bump into walls over here and over there with all the other companies trying to do what I wanted to do, but didn't fit into their alignment. Mm-hmm. So that was the short story.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I'm sure I have some similar stories. Maybe we'll talk offline sometime. But yeah, it's that one thing that makes you want to do it. And a lot of the times for me, when I was the second time I did it, I just felt that my company I was working for wasn't going anywhere. I wanted to move into more, I work for an advertising agency. I wanted to move more into consumer products. They wanted to stay B2B. I mean, I was the number 2 guy, and I was just constantly arguing with the owner. Yeah. And I just couldn't see my, and so eventually I just said, I just got to go out on my own. And if I think I'm that good, I'm going to go try it. And so that was the second time. And that was 7 years after the first time. So I didn't wait too long, but that one worked out pretty well. So the last question on this section, then, really as a entrepreneur and someone listening that's thinking about, I think I want to start my own business tomorrow. Mm-hmm. What advice would you give them?
Make sure it's something you like. You know, as I joke to my listeners all the time, you know, as an entrepreneur, you're lucky. You get to choose whatever 100 hours you want to work a week, right? Yeah. So you better like what you're doing, and it better be a passion and a skill set for you. And then from there, I think you have to figure out why you can make an impact, and what impact can you make? What transformation can you make in somebody's life that it's worth you straining your life, your financial life, straining your family life or your relationships you have on it, and then working your ass off, because those are the pieces that you're going to do. But if you have that in you, and you can be the self-employed person, and you have the determination and the desire to work and the capabilities to work on your own, and you got a little money in your pocket, hell, go for it, because that's what makes the world go around. It really does. To be a business owner, the small business world is a huge percentage of the people in the economy. Mm-hmm. Now, that doesn't mean the mega corporations aren't the money that goes in the economy, but the people, us small business owners, we're the heart and lungs of the economy.
Yeah. That's another whole podcast that we can go off on. Yeah, really. So obviously we're not telling our listeners anything that they don't know. The world has changed right now, and there's really a lot of challenges. And when you talk to your clients, you come at it from a financial point of view and looking at their strategy work on their finances, and I do it from a marketing side. And when I think about marketing and growth strategies is kind of where I play. I look at customers and competition and market opportunities and all those different aspects, and not only the verticals that they're currently in, but where do they want to go, where are those opportunities. So when you think about it from a financial standpoint, when you're starting to deal with those financial strategies, what are the pieces that you look at from a strategist standpoint?
Good question, and good frame of reference with the marketing in mind. So I build off of 5 core pieces. First of all, everything I do is off of a business plan. I know business plan is a very, once a year or maybe a when I need some money kind of thought, but a business plan is the foundation for every single thing that you do in your business. And you should never, ever, ever be in a reactive mode and reacting to what the business is throwing at you. You should always be in a proactive mode, and that involves having a plan and a strategy. So I've got 5 pillars that belong in my strategy, and these are all part of the business plan. The financial side of it, the organizational side of it, and there's many little fingers that come off of these. There's the product side, then there's the marketing piece, and then there's the growth piece. So Angela, you focus on the last 3, but it's all part of it, and there's pieces of it. So the first level, the first part that you need to focus on is the money. And the money you have to understand in deep, deep clarity. Where are you financially today? And then where do you want to go in the future? And if you don't know where you are, you can't tell how you're going to get to the future. And so that foundation piece is really taking the tools that you have to work with today. What are my assets? What are my cash flow? What is my cash flow? What are my accounts receivable coming in? What are my accounts payable going out? What opportunities do I have? What kind of investments do I need? Whether it's from partnership or from a bank or from your own savings account. And then when you figure all that foundation out, you can turn around and start to figure out how you can utilize each of those pieces to, as I said earlier, create an ROI.
So I just went through an exercise. I want to call it an exercise, but about a year or so ago with a company, and we looked at where they were and looked at their growth strategies, and they 30 years they had just kind of inched along, and kind of some new management, new blood, and we talked about how can we really take this company up 30, 40, 50% over the next 5 years. So we did a lot of historical analyzing of data. How many proposals, what's the average close rate, all those kinds of things. And then we went out into the future and said, okay, we want to be X millions in 5 years. Now, how do we get there? Let's start working backwards and start those building blocks.
Reverse engineering.
Reverse engineering it. And so when you look at it from that standpoint and from the financial side, because like one of the strategies was acquisition. Well, one of my conclusions was we can't acquire anybody because if we don't hit 1, 2, and 3 years, and year 3 is when we want to acquire somebody, the acquisition doesn't. Without the acquisition, we don't get to 4 and 5.
Yeah.
So it really was laying that kind of, I don't call it a puzzle, but how are we going to get there? And so
it's called a plan.
Plan, yeah. I'm a big believer in plans. My favorite always was go into the client meeting, and when I was in the advertising business, we always had an annual. And I can honestly say more than once the client pulled the plan off the shelf and blew the dust off it. So
sad. Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah, you're so right, because in order for you to get, if you think, I have a 1-year-old grandson, so we just spent the last few months trying to get him to walk, and he wanted to run. But you can't run until you learn how to walk, and you can't walk until you learn how to have some balance, and you can't have any balance until you learn how to sit up. I mean, it's all reverse engineered, like you said, but you have to do step 1. You cannot jump to step 2, or the foundation of your house will fall down or the sticks of the house, because you don't have a solid foundation.
Yeah, that's really good. To your point, you can't tell if your plan's working if you don't have a plan, right? And throwing it against the wall and seeing if it sticks is not a plan.
Yeah, the spaghetti plan doesn't work.
Yeah, one of the things I talk a lot about is, from a branding standpoint, is about brand health. How healthy is your brand in the marketplace? And so I'm going to turn that on you then, looking at kind of the financial health of a business. I mean, how do you look at that, and how do you advise your clients that, hey, look, you've got some big issues here financially, or the health of your business is in trouble, which in turn, I like to look at things holistically. It's going to roll out to every department. So come at it from a different standpoint than I do.
No, you're so right, because the health of the business is how many multiples can you withstand financially. So even if you're saying, okay, what is my nut? What do I have to cover each month to be able to keep the doors open, whatever those invisible doors may be or solid doors they may be? Understanding your numbers is the key to that. So when you can lay it down and say, okay, I need, let's just hypothetically, $10,000 a month to run my business. And that means risk factors, that means, lights on to product development to product shipment, if service development, service shipment. So if you put all of those numbers down and say, this is the bare minimum I need, and then here's the luxury items that I need.
Mm-hmm.
I always come in and say, just like on your personal finances, let's get the bare minimum. Let's have all the stuff that I need to run this business properly, not luxuriously, but properly. And then how many multiples of that do I need to make sure I'm safe in case something like COVID-19 comes up and knocks us upside of our head, that we have enough slush fund to keep our business going? And what measures or strategies will we take to get through the other side? So it could be something as simple as, I need 3 months, like in your personal, 3 months if you're married, 6 months if you're single, to be able to weather the storms that are going to hit you. This one hit us on many aspects that we weren't prepared on, just as 2008 hit us on financial, on housing, on, the interest rates, and I mean, so many different avenues. We have to manage risk as a business owner, and making sure that we're financially solid. We need to have a strategy in case this happens. Mm-hmm. What are we going to do? I'm going to stream and I'm going to furlough this percentage. I'm going to spend on this and not spend on that. It's all a strategy. But if you're going like this and like this and like this, you're going to get killed. Well, you're going to get killed, and the business will die, and all of your blood, sweat, and tears that you put into this business, because that's what we put in, is gone.
Yeah. Yeah. In 2008, 2009, I actually tried to start a business, and, it didn't go anywhere. Nobody saw that coming. And just like people might have prepared for another recessionary time, nobody certainly prepared for this pandemic. So segue, and then to talk a little bit about that. When this first happened, it was a lot of companies are preserving cash, cutting marketing, cutting all their spending, laying people off, just reacting, just not thinking about the impact it was going to have long term, but just preserve cash. Good, bad, fear. Fear got in the way. So with your clients, then how have you and how would you counsel someone today who's listening, saying, I did everything he just said, but that might have not been the best strategy. They should have sought counsel. They should have called you up. But what kind of free advice can you give today?
I'm a giver, so yes. I'm always thinking of what I can do to help. And the message that I share with my clients, that I share with my friends and the people I work nearby with, is always going to be about being visible, being active. You can't stop your business and then start it up. If you think of how long it takes to get a ship moving again, or a train moving again, it takes a lot more power if you're dead stop. First of all, so don't ever stop working in your business. If you do, or whatever you've done in the past, today's a new day. Start it up again. Get moving in the right direction. But as I said earlier, there's really only two things in your business that generates money: marketing and innovation. So in times like this, we should be visible to our clients. We should have not cut our marketing budget. Maybe we reallocate it in a different way, but we should never cut our marketing budget. But we need to innovate and pivot and shift to what our customer is feeling and has different needs. So you may not be the same business you were 2 months ago in the beginning of March. You may come out of this a different type of business. But in order to be a business, you need to be visible and you need to be active. And the only way you can do that is by marketing. And marketing does not always mean I'm selling you a product today.
Right.
My belief in marketing is that there's a cadence to it. Give, 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 ask. Give, give, ask.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're giving something of value and helping someone see through, and it's your best stuff ever, when you ask, they're going to go, absolutely, you gave to me, so I'm ready to buy from you.
Yeah, I love that. And oh, by the way, you listeners out there, this is a CFO telling you to invest money in marketing. I just want to make sure you understood that. I think we have time for a few more questions, and I'm probably going to go over a little bit if you're still good with that.
Sure.
What is the biggest mistake you've seen businesses make right now?
That fear, letting that fear eat them up, and thinking that the world is going to come to an end. Not pivoting or shifting like they need to, and letting the fear just eat them alive.
Okay. Any surprises you've seen from companies during the last few months?
Surprisingly enough, the one that's been kind of sticking with me for the past couple of days, I got an email, Supplementation went under.
Yeah.
You know, the salad bar place, they come under a bunch of different names, but they sent out an email. I don't know how I got on their email list, but I used to get their coupons, and they sent out an email saying they're closing doors and not standing up. That was a surprise, because I think there's a lot of great businesses out there, but again, if you didn't plan and you didn't take the right steps after it happened, then it's probably just continued to suck the life out of you and close your doors.
That's an interesting, actually, this is off topic, but not. So supplementation is very interesting to me now that you've said that, because if you think about their model, you're going down, you're reaching in, you're touching, they got sneeze guards.
Yeah.
I would think that
buffet style, like Vegas. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I would see that people going, there's like no way I'm going in there, because I have no idea who's touching what.
Exactly. And they would be one of the last types of businesses that were able to come back out, and they would have to completely change their model. So instead of going through the numbers and thinking, how can we still provide a fresh salad-based product to our clients in a way that they would enjoy it, they said, forget it, it's too much work, we're going to close up.
Yeah. Wow.
When instead they couldn't have like a lemonade kind of list and say, you can have all these things, but we're going to serve it to you.
Yep.
Okay, so you got a $10 an hour or $11 an hour person, slinging the 12 different types of salads you're going to have and pouring the soup for you and handing you bread. It doesn't seem like the end of the world, but they thought that was too much work for them.
Well, and you made a good point too, because they would have been one of the last ones to really come back because of their model. They can't serve curbside and that kind of stuff.
But they could if they did an order type basis. You know what's on the menu, you know what you like. You put in your order and you say, I want garbanzo beans on my salad, and here it is, and they shovel it out and give you the salad on the side, and you got curbside.
Yeah.
Look at the line at Starbucks. Have you been in a Starbucks drive-thru lately?
No, I haven't.
That's at least an hour line every single time.
I got good coffee right here.
Yeah, me too. I had to go on my own.
So
it's pivoting and shifting, and if you don't do that.
But that's our whole premise, though, right? It's about having a plan and a strategy, right? What is it? Work the plan the work, or work the work, or whatever it is. And there's so many quotes and famous quotes about planning that we take for granted sometimes, and you really can't, because you don't know how you're going to get there. You might get there eventually, but that road could be all over the place, versus really understanding what it's going
And
to
I
take.
have to say that is the most common situation that, or my biggest roadblock when I'm working with my clients is that they're like, I don't want to do a fluffy plan. I don't want to, go through all this stuff because I'm not gonna put it to work. But how I consult and counsel my clients is that plan is on their desk.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking at it on a weekly basis. Okay, here's your KPIs, your key performing indicators. Did you achieve that goal? What's the next step? What tricks and what shifts, what tactics do we need to do to get to where you want to go? It's a living, reading document, set of documents that has the financial plan, the marketing plan, the sales plan, the operation plan, the growth plan. It's got all these plans inside of to make the big plan. But it's everything that you need to do, and it's a living, breathing document.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's the hard part, because business planning has that let's do it on January 1st because we have to, or I have to put a plan together because I want to go to the bank and get a loan. It's an afterthought or a small thought, and it's often thought as a waste of time, where the world I come from, it's everything.
Yeah, wise words. I'm a huge believer in planning. Well, we have actually come to the end of our time together. So you want to tell the listeners how they can find out more about you and reach you and connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am the proud author of my book, Big Profit Secrets Exposed. You can get it on Amazon. Hopefully you'll have a link there for them. Again, Big Profit Secrets Exposed. You can also hit me up anytime I offer a complimentary consultation to my to the listeners. We'll sit down for a half hour, no sales, just a strategy. Come to me with one of your issues, one of your problems, and I'll either help you solve the problem or I'll drastically reduce that problem for you and let you experience me a little bit. And then one other place is I've got a workshop I'm starting online. It's all about how to put the plan together. It's a 6-week workshop, and it's at bigprofitstrategy.com.
All right, fantastic. Hold the book up one more time.
You bet.
There you go. Look at that. And when did you publish that?
I published that last December at Christmas. I was sick, so I think I had the corona during Christmas, during December.
This past Christmas?
So I was sicker than a dog, coughing for like 6 weeks, and that's when I finished and published it. And this has some great ideas. I've got 5 ideas in there on how to increase your income, and 5 ideas on how to spend strategically, and then a couple other little tidbits on marketing and business planning, business credit, things like that in there. So it's real valuable. It's an easy read.
I'll have to pick one up.
You get into forever. So
I'll have to pick one up. Yeah, it's interesting that you said that. As a side note, in January I got sick, and my headache and coughing and sneezing, and I had my lungs were hurting and all this stuff. I didn't have trouble breathing, but every time I breathed I could feel the wheezing. And I went to the doctor, and they go, you got a sinus infection, which I never get my entire life. But I said, okay. And that lasted a really, really long time. And just recently, my wife and I were talking, because of course I gave it to her, that we actually think we might have had it as well.
Well, I talked to a medical professional that said we had something similar. It wasn't the actual coronavirus. I guess that's what they're saying. But you know what? I think it also gave me the immunities to be able to make it through here. And I've done my social distancing, and I've stayed at home and all that. But at the same time, I was sicker than a dog. But that's when I finally finished it, because if you're anything like me, you want it to be perfect, and you're sitting there and you're going and you're going and you're going, and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to pull the trigger and go. Perfect or not, I'm going. And I did. So
you know me already too well, because I have 2 books in the works at various stages, and my personal goal was to get them finished, at least one of them finished during this time. And here I sit and still haven't finished it.
Yeah. Well, I put out a big grease board, and I made a plan on how I was going to put it all together and lay it out. And I took a lot of my topics from my podcast, and I just put it in there and kind of fine-tuned it. In hindsight, I should have worked with a professional. And my second book, I will work with a professional. But I felt like, I'm that a lot of the professionals wanted to have you do it their way, and I wanted to kind of put it out. First of all, I wasn't sure I was actually going to get it out, but I did, and now I'm a published author, and my next one will be Bigger Profits Now, and it'll be a work in progress. So.
Well, you know what? That's motivation for me. So that's where I'm going to be spending my time this week. I'm going to get that done.
Yeah,
well, thank
put
you.
out a grease board, write down the plan, put the chapters out, and you'll just start pounding them out.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for listening today at the cafe. You can find out more about me, read my blogs, or view my show videos at theponzigroup.com, or certainly connect with me on LinkedIn. And if your business is ready for growth and you need a CMO, but you're not quite ready for a full-time person yet, connect with me. I'd welcome the opportunity to talk to you about the benefits of using a fractional CMO. And lastly, please subscribe to this show. And if you're already a subscriber, I encourage you to let others know about it so they can benefit from the great content like we had today. And you can find out more about the Business Growth Cafe at businessgrowthcafe.com or on any major podcast platform. Please join me next week for lunch at the Business Growth Cafe. Thank you.
Love it. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to today's discussion at the Business Growth Cafe with your host, Angelo Ponzi. Take a moment to subscribe to this podcast and visit our website at www.businessgrowthcafe.com. Read Angelo Ponzi's blogs at www.theponzigroup.com.